There are two types of people at Hanseong Financial Group. 1. Those who fear director Seo Min-joon. 2. Those who pretend they don't. I, Kang Haneul, junior analyst, am definitely in the first group. Before I ever spoke a word to him, I already knew the rumors. He never smiles. He hates incompetence. He fired a whole team once. He's too handsome for his own good. And the most chilling of all, he never notices anyone. Well, until he noticed me. The day everything began was a disaster from the start. I overslept. I spilled coffee on my one clean shirt. I sprinted across the lobby like a man fleeing the police. And I squeezed into the elevator just as the doors were closing, only to crash directly into a very expensive suit and a very solid chest. I froze. I lifted my head, and there he was. Director Seo Min-joon. Sharp jawline. Cold eyes like winter disguised as a man. Hair styled like he walked out of a K-drama. Expression unreadable, which somehow made him even scarier. He stared down at me. "Oh," he said. "Oh no. No. I'm so sorry." I blurted. "I didn't see, I saw, but not you." "Well, I did, but..." His eyebrow lifted. "Just slightly. I didn't realize tackling me was part of your morning routine, analyst Kang." My brain shut down. He knew my name? The director actually knew my name? My soul left my body, took a bus to Busan, and didn't come back. I really didn't mean. "It's fine." The pause. "Relax." Relax? Relax? How could I relax when the ICE executive was speaking to me like we were alone in some drama scene? The elevator reached our floor. He stepped out first, but abruptly stopped and glanced back. Try not to attack anyone else before noon. And then, he did something no one at work would believe. He smiled. Barely. A ghost of a smile. But a smile nonetheless. My legs were jelly for the rest of the morning. At 10:17 a.m., an email pinged my inbox. From Director Seo Min-joon. Subject, Risk Analysis Project. Message, join my office. I stopped breathing. My team members instantly turned to me like sharks smelling blood. With the director? Did you get promoted? Are you in trouble? Did you spill your coffee on his car? I did not. I snapped. But truthfully, I had no idea. I knocked lightly on the glass door of his office. "Come in," he said without looking up. The office was pristine. Minimalistic. Cold. Just like him. "You called for me, director?" I said, standing stiffly. He glanced up. Eyes piercing. A man carved from marble. "You'll be joining the quarterly risk analysis project with me." My mouth fell open. "Why me?" "Because I chose you." My breath hitched. That was not the answer I expected. He motioned to the empty desk right outside his office. "You'll work there from now on." "Be there? Right next to you?" "Is that a problem?" he asked, leaning back in his chair. "No. Good. Start after lunch." Dismissed. Just like that. I walked out, feeling like the universe had played some cosmic joke. But that was only the beginning. Working next to Director Seo felt like working near a thunderstorm. He wasn't loud. He wasn't rude. He wasn't even demanding. He was just intense. He typed quietly but with purpose. He read documents like they were secrets he had to protect. His voice was calm but heavy with authority. And worst of all, he watched me. Not in an obvious way, but subtly, discreetly, like he was studying something he didn't yet understand. Whenever he leaned over my shoulder to check my data, my entire soul left my body. His scent, cedar, cold rain, and something faintly sweet, made my brain malfunction. "You're tense," he murmured once. I nearly launched myself through the window. I'm not. He rested a hand on the back of my chair. "You are." My heart slammed against my ribs. Why was he so close? Why was he looking at me like that? Why was I noticing everything about him? The faint mole near his throat, the way his sleeves were always rolled up, the way his eyes softened when he was deep in thought. This was dangerous. I was falling. And I wasn't sure he wasn't too. The company dinner changed everything. Director Seo rarely attended social gatherings. But that night he did. He sat across from me. And he looked at me. A lot. Too much. Manager Park leaned in. Why is he staring at you? He's not. I hissed. He is. Should we move you? No. Manager Park smirked. Look at you getting defensive. I kicked him under the table. Every time I accidentally looked up, Director Seo was already watching me, calm, unreadable, and unervingly focused. But the real shock came when dinner ended. I stepped outside into the cold and rubbed my arms. And a warm coat settled over my shoulders. I turned sharply. He stood there. Expression unreadable. Hands in pockets. Breath visible in the cold air. You walk home, right? He asked. Oh, yes. I'll walk with you. W.I. Because we live in the same direction. We did? I had no idea. He began walking. And like a fool I followed. The city lights flickered softly. The air was cold enough to sting. But beside him, somehow I felt warm. You worked hard today, he said suddenly. I almost tripped. Thank you. I meant it. Silence. His voice lowered a little. You avoid looking at me. I don't. You do. My cheeks burned. He stopped walking. I stopped too. He looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time, and something in his expression shifted. Haneul, he said softly, are you afraid of me? My breath caught. I swallowed. I don't know. He looked shaken for the first time since I met him. Figure it out, he murmured, voice almost fragile. And when you do, tell me. He walked ahead. I stayed frozen under the streetlight, heart pounding so hard I could hear it echoing in my ears. Something was happening. Something dangerous. Something I didn't understand. And I wasn't sure if I was ready for what came next. But one thing was certain. We were no longer just co-workers. Not anymore. If there was one thing I learned after being moved beside Director Seo Min-joon's office, it was this. Silence could be louder than words. The space between us was quiet, but it wasn't empty. It was filled with looks that lasted a second too long. With pauses in conversation that held unspoken meaning. With moments where something almost happened and didn't. Every day, I told myself it was nothing. Every day, I was lying. Director Seo didn't touch me. He didn't flirt. He didn't cross any obvious line. But there were other things. Small things. Dangerous things. Like how he noticed when I skipped lunch. Like how he adjusted the heater when my hands turned cold. Like how his voice softened only when he spoke my name. Haneul. He said it like it was something fragile. And that frightened me more than his cold reputation ever had. The rumors began subtly. They always did. At first, they were nothing more than curious glances from coworkers. Then whispers near the coffee machine. Isn't that Kang Haneul? The one always with Director Seo? I heard they work late together. I tried not to listen, but it was hard when the entire office felt like it was watching me. One afternoon, while organizing documents, Manager Park leaned against my desk. You're close with the director, he said casually. I stiffened. We're not. He raised an eyebrow. Really? Because he's never stayed this late before. Ever. That's just work, I insisted. Park studied me for a moment, then laughed lightly. Relax. I'm just teasing. But his eyes said otherwise. That night, while reviewing a report, I realized the office was nearly empty. Only one other light was still on. Director Seo's. I hesitated before standing. I'm heading out, I said quietly. He looked up. It's raining. I have an umbrella. A lie. He stood, grabbed his coat, and wordlessly reached for a spare umbrella near the door. I'll walk you. You don't have to, I said quickly. I know. And still he did. The rain was relentless. The city looked softer under it, lights blurred, sounds muted. We walked in silence. Not awkward. Heavy. Do you regret it? He asked suddenly. Regret what? I asked, though my chest tightened. Moving to this project. I shook my head. No. I've learned a lot. That wasn't the question, he said gently. I stopped walking. The rain hit harder. I don't regret working hard, I said slowly. If that's what you mean. He turned to me, close enough that I could smell rain on his coat. Haneul, he said quietly, you're avoiding the question. Because I don't know how to answer it. He exhaled, a slow, controlled breath. That makes two of us. For a moment, neither of us moved. If he leaned in, if I stepped forward, everything would change. Instead, he turned away. Get home safely, he said. And just like that, the moment shattered. Things worsened after that. The tension grew thicker, sharper. He became stricter at work, more distant. But when our eyes met, something burned. One evening, during a team meeting, I presented a risk model. Director Seo watched me carefully. When I finished, silence followed. Then he spoke. This is thorough. Precise. Public praise. My coworkers looked stunned. Heat rushed to my face. After the meeting, a junior analyst whispered, he never compliments anyone. That night, an anonymous message appeared in the office group chat. Some people get special treatment. My stomach dropped. The confrontation came on a Friday. He called me into his office. The door clicked shut behind me. I'm aware of the rumors, he said calmly. My chest tightened. I didn't say anything. I know. His gaze softened. But perception matters. Especially here. I swallowed. So what do we do? He looked at me like the question hurt. We create distance. The words felt like a blade. I see, I said quietly. You don't, he replied. But you will. From that day on, he stopped walking me home. Stopped checking in. Stopped lingering. He became Director Seo again. And it hurt more than I expected. Late one night, I stayed back, finishing reports. My phone buzzed. Director Seo, are you still at the office? I stared at the screen. Me, yes. The pause. Then footsteps. He stood at the doorway, sleeves rolled up, eyes tired. This has gone too far, he said. My heart raced. What has? This. The space between us. The silence. You think I don't notice? He continued. Every time someone looks at you. Every whisper. I can handle it, I said. His jaw tightened. I can't. He stepped closer. I've spent my entire career controlling myself. Being careful. Untouchable. His voice dropped. But with you. He stopped. Silence screamed between us. If I stay like this, he whispered, I'll make a mistake. My heart pounded so loudly I wondered if he could hear it. Then don't be careful, I said before thinking. His eyes snapped to mine. What did you say? I said, my voice shook. Don't be careful. For one terrifying second, he almost reached for me. Then he stepped back sharply. This conversation ends now, he said, voice strained. For both our sakes. He left. And I sank into my chair, shaking. Because I finally understood. The line between us wasn't blurry. It was burning. And we were both pretending not to see it. Things didn't fall apart all at once. They cracked. Slowly. Quietly. Like glass under pressure. At first, it was little things. Meetings where conversations stopped when I entered. Emails that went unanswered longer than usual. Coworkers who smiled politely but kept their distance. I told myself I was imagining it. I wasn't. The first official sign came in the form of an email marked confidential. Subject: Internal Audit Review. Department: Risk Analysis. Individuals mentioned: Director Seo Min-joon, Analyst Kang Haneul. My fingers went numb. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. This couldn't be happening. I walked to the restroom, locked myself into a stall, and tried to breathe. Stay calm. You've done nothing wrong. But something cold had already wrapped around my chest. HR called me in the next day. A small, bright room. Too clean. Too quiet. Two senior managers sat across from me. Kang Haneul, one of them said gently, this is a routine inquiry. Routine. That word meant nothing. They asked about project assignments. About overtime hours. About communication with Director Seo. Is your relationship purely professional? The woman asked. Yes, I said immediately. The truth, but not the whole one. She studied my face carefully. You may go, she said finally. But as I stood, she added quietly, be careful. That warning stayed with me. Director Seo did not contact me. Not once. He didn't look at me during meetings. Didn't speak to me in the hallway. Didn't acknowledge me at all. The distance he had warned me about had become a wall. And it hurt more than rumors ever could. One evening, as I packed up my desk, Manager Park approached. They're investigating him seriously, he said quietly. My heart stopped. For what? I asked, though I already knew. Favoritism. Abuse of authority. My hands trembled. That's ridiculous. Park sighed. You know how this company works. Appearances matter more than facts. That night, I couldn't sleep. My phone remained silent. The breaking point came during the board meeting. I was called in as a witness. So was he. We sat on opposite sides of the room. For the first time in weeks, our eyes met. There was guilt. I take full responsibility, Director Seo said calmly when questioned. My head snapped up. What do you mean? One board member asked. If my conduct gave room for misunderstanding, then the fault is mine. No, I blurted out before I could stop myself. Everyone turned to me. Director Seo's eyes widened slightly. There was no favoritism, I said firmly. My work stands on its own. Kang Haneul, the chairman warned. But Director Seo stood. That's enough, he said quietly. I will step down from this project effective immediately. The room fell into stunned silence. My breath left my body. Director, I started. He didn't look at me. I will submit a transfer request, he continued. To another branch. The meeting ended shortly after. I followed him out. Why did you do that? I asked, voice shaking. He stopped walking. Because this is the only way to protect you. I didn't ask for protection. I said. He turned eyes dark. I know, he said softly. That's why I'm doing it anyway. Anger and fear crashed together inside me. You're running away, I accused. He flinched. I'm choosing responsibility. No, I said, tears burning. You're choosing to leave. Silence fell between us. I won't let you sink because of me, he said. You're not saving me, I whispered. You're hurting me. His jaw tightened. I'm sorry. Those words were final. The office changed after that. Director Seo's door stayed closed. Then empty. 2 days later, it was confirmed. He had transferred overseas. No goodbye. No explanation. I stared at his empty office for a long time. Something inside me collapsed. Work became mechanical. Days blurred together. At night, I lay awake, replaying every moment. Every look. Every pause. Every almost. Had it all meant nothing to him? Or too much? One night, a message finally came. Director Seo, I hope you're well. That was all. I stared at the screen until tears fell. I typed. Deleted. Typed again. Deleted again. In the end, I said nothing. Because I didn't know how to survive a conversation that might break me. Weeks passed. The months. Life moved on. I didn't. And then, unexpectedly, I was promoted. No celebration. No joy. Only emptiness. Because the person I wanted to tell was gone. One rainy night, walking home alone, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't heartbroken because he left. I was heartbroken because I loved him. And I never told him. Time didn't heal the wound. It only taught me how to live with it. 3 months after Director Seo Min-joon left, Hanseong Financial Group continued as though nothing extraordinary had ever happened. Projects moved forward. Meetings filled the calendar. New rumors replaced old ones. But for me, the office remained haunted. Every morning, when I stepped into the risk analysis floor, my eyes still flickered unconsciously toward the glass office at the corner. Empty. It had been reassigned to another executive. Different furniture. Different scent. And yet, my chest tightened every time I passed it. I had been promoted to senior analyst, something I had once dreamed of. Now it felt hollow. Congratulations, coworkers had said politely. I smiled. I nodded. I thanked them. Then I went home alone. I thought distance would erase him. I was wrong. Min-joon existed everywhere. In habits I'd picked up from him, in the way I organized files, in the way I drank my coffee black now instead of with sugar. Sometimes I caught myself drafting emails the way he had taught me, direct, precise, thoughtful. And every time it hurt. I never replied to his message. I wondered if he noticed. The turning point came on an ordinary Friday. I was reviewing reports late when my phone buzzed. An unfamiliar international number. I almost ignored it. Almost. Unknown. I'm in Seoul. My heart slammed violently against my ribs. I stared at the screen. Hands shaking, I typed, "What?" The reply came instantly. Unknown, because I couldn't stop thinking about you. Breath left my lungs. The office around me blurred. You left. A pause, longer this time. I know. Another message followed. Unknown, may I see you? Just once. I closed my eyes. Anger rose. Then sadness. Then longing so sharp it nearly split me open. Where are you? We met at a quiet cafe near the river. Neutral ground. Safe ground. When I walked in, I recognized him instantly, even dressed casually, without the cold authority that once surrounded him. Min-joon looked different. Thinner. Softer. More human. He stood when he saw me. Haneul. The sound of my name nearly broke me. I sat across from him. Silence settled, heavy but not hostile. I transferred to the Singapore branch, he said quietly. I did well. Promotions. Recognition. I heard, I replied. It was a lie. I hadn't wanted to know how his life continued without me. But none of it mattered, he continued, because I kept asking myself one thing. I met his eyes reluctantly. What? Did I make the right choice? I swallowed. And did you? I asked. He smiled sadly. No. I felt something crack open inside my chest. I convinced myself that leaving would protect you, he said. That distance would erase whatever this is. He gestured between us. It didn't. I clenched my hands together. You broke my heart, I said quietly. His breath caught. I know, he whispered. And I hate myself for it. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. I've spent my entire life choosing the safe path. The responsible one. The one that looks right on paper. His voice trembled. But that path led me away from you. I looked away. I learned something, he continued softly. Love doesn't disappear just because you ignore it. The words hit me hard. I stood abruptly. I can't do this, I said. Not like this. He stood too. Then tell me what you need, he pleaded quietly. And I'll do it. I turned back to him, eyes burning. I need you to stop running. His gaze locked onto mine. I have. We walked by the river. Side by side. Not touching. City lights shimmered against the water. Do you know how hard it was? I said finally. Watching everyone move on while I stayed stuck? I know, he replied. No, I said, stopping. You don't. Turned. I loved you, I confessed. And I never even got the chance to say it. His eyes widened. My voice shook, but I continued. You decided for both of us. You took that choice away. Tears blurred my vision. I won't be someone you come back to only when it's convenient. Min-joon stepped closer. It's not convenient, he said firmly. It's terrifying. I laughed bitterly. Good. He reached out slowly, cautiously, as if afraid I'd disappear. I came back to choose you, he said. Not the position. Not the approval. You. Silence stretched. Then I asked the hardest question of all. And what if choosing me costs you everything? He didn't hesitate. Then it's worth it. Something inside me finally gave way. I closed the distance. Not a dramatic kiss. Not a grand gesture. Just a quiet moment where his forehead rested against mine. We breathed together. And for the first time, fear loosened its grip. Weeks passed. Min-joon declined further promotions overseas. He resigned officially from Hanseong. This time, on his own terms. He started consulting privately. I stayed. We learned how to exist without hiding. Without titles between us. Without shadows. Some days were still hard. Public stares. Uncertain futures. Unanswered questions. But at night when we walked home together, none of that mattered. One evening, standing under the same streetlight where everything had once felt uncertain, he squeezed my hand. "Do you still regret it?" he asked softly. I smiled. "No," I replied, "because this time we chose together." He leaned down, pressing a gentle kiss to my lips. The city kept moving around us. But for once, we stood still, unafraid, unhidden, and entirely undeniably ours.